Max asked kind of an interesting question here. He goes, I've got enough personal work coming in, and he wants to get more engineers and producers to work in his studios. So I ask him his name of his studio. I copy paste it into Google. And of course, it's the first link that comes up, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Well done, Max. That's great. And I pop on it and I look through what they got. And they got a 75 series, you know, a bunch of 1073 pre's, some great Revere, some Joe Meek stuff, twin sixes as the main monitors. They got a VAC rack that makes me happy.
They got a VAC rack.
Some MC77s, a 2500, some distressors, a Verimu, some other stuff, some drummers, some of the 404s I like, a 140 plate reverb, a BX20, that thing's dope, proper 480L, you know, a bunch of really, really great gear. So, Dan, what would get you to come into this studio to work there?
It would probably be the sound of the room.
I can tell you right now one reason why I would potentially never make it past this website.
Okay, well,
do it.
Well, I mean, no, we'll get to that. Dan, answer the question first, and then I'll get to it.
Sure. So I'm under the impression that like gear and all that stuff is really awesome, but like I think, you know, it can kind of cloud your judgment when it comes to studios. So really all I want to know is, what does the room sound like? And if the room sounds awesome for drums, then I'm in. Really, that's really, I mean, that's really all it is. If it's like a really good tracking room, like really good tracking room, I'm totally in. You know what I mean? And that's really where it's at. Maybe the microphone selection too.
So I'll tell you right now, the microphone selection is fantastic. Bunch of Polisos, bunch of great stuff. It's really good. So the room itself looks like it would be awesome too. The only problem is that every photo that's here is of a piano being placed into this room with a bunch of people, and it looks messy. It looks crazy. So I don't actually get to just look at this room as a big open space and go, this would probably sound cool. I don't have any dimensions. I don't know ceiling height. I don't know any materials. So in a kind of funny way, I mean, it's cool that there's some interesting technical stuff on this page that makes it really, really interesting. But for me, I'm in the same boat as Dan. I want to, I want to go and have the room be what makes it amazing, right? Because at this point with technology, preamps are, even cheap preamps have gotten fantastic. Yep. As long as you got good mics and all that, like you can get by. If you got good monitoring and, you know, decent front end, you'll be okay. I don't need a ton of outboard gear. I'm not necessarily going to mix in a room that's not my own home, but that's just me. But if I'm going to come in and do tracking, the thing I've always wanted out of basically every studio is a drummer playing in the room with one room mic up, and have that be part of your sound samples. Yeah. And I don't know why nobody does that. Or even just, you got a great grand piano in that room. Put one mic up in the room and hit record, and toss that up as a sound sample. Also on this website, there's a client list, and that's cool. A bunch of them link to their websites. It looks like a bunch of their websites are actually down, but that's not really on you or on anyone else. But at this point, now if I want to hear what it sounds like to be in your room, I have to go to their website. Potentially they have music on it. Maybe they don't. Maybe I got to go to SoundCloud. There's like 6 steps before I can actually hear anything that was done in this space.
Yep.
Like obviously the gear list is great. Like the room looks cool. But I mean, you look at the pictures we use on Mix Wednesday. Every time we post a posting, we post beautiful rooms. Really, really sexy looking spaces.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of them are ours.
None of them are ours. None of them are ours. You know, one of these days, though,
yes.
Yeah. Right. And studio looks awesome, but there are none of those sexy photos where it's just like, this is ultra sexy. Instead, it's all photos of it in use, which is great. But if you want to impress people, you impress people with the sexy photo. You don't impress people with the, you know, like, oh, here, this is some like 12 dudes in the room with packing blankets laid over the piano while we're tracking it, which is probably true because, you know, I put packing blankets over pianos very often while tracking it. That's real, but that's not actually what kind of gets people in, right?
Yeah, the only scenario, I agree with you 150%. The only scenario that I disagree with you in this is for guys that do a lot of orchestral stuff. I think showing pictures of the amount of people you can fit in a room is important. With that stuff.
True. Makes sense.
Because
that is true.
If you have, you know, some people's studios will literally say, I can fit 110 bodies in here standing up, and then just many people sitting down. And then he was like, I don't believe that. Oh, here's a picture. You know what I mean?
Right. And I totally get that. I do totally get that. But the thing here that kind of makes that work is adding in like some of this technical stuff that a producer or engineer wants to know, right? So things like dimensions of the room. You could even put a plot, almost like a drawn map that shows someone that, oh, we have no parallel walls or whatever it might be, things like that. And then adding in sound samples of what the room sounds like, because both Dan and I agree that we're going to go to a space because the room's awesome, not necessarily because of the gear list. But of course, you have to have a minimum level of gear list. But clearly, you're at the space where you have all this stuff.